Yeah, this past year, man, it's been difficult. I've been it's on it these podcasts, man. I don't mean to make them this way, but they have been kind of like therapy sessions.
This is carpal tunnel. Being vulnerable. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a very special episode of Being Vulnerable.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Episode 40. I can't believe I did 40 of these already.
Episode 40, bro?
Episode 40. Yeah.
That's hey, I'm the 40th person you had on this show, dude. Let's go. That's great.
And you're probably the biggest star I've had on the show. So,
You're gonna have bigger people on this show. I'm still a baby, but it's all good. I'm happy to be here.
introduce yourself, man.
Oh.
I'm so honored to have you on the show. Like, my audience members don't even know how much I look up to you, man.
Oh no, man. It's all cool. Thank you, man. My name is Josh Portillo. I'm a professional voice actor. I have been doing voiceover work, voiceover work for about 7 going on 8 years now. What else? It's been a wild ride. I went full time with it in 2022. I'm the voice of Talking Tom. I've been in a few animes, and I live in Florida. I live in Orlando, Florida. Born and raised in Jacksonville. Go Jags. They are 9-4 right now. Thank God. But yeah, man. Pleasure to be here, and yeah, man. I'm ready to do a great show with you.
Ready to be a little vulnerable with us?
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I got a few stories to tell.
I What got you into voice acting and like your passion for that and
With me, man, uh, you know, it all starts, you hear this a lot in podcasts, but it's like it all starts when I was younger or when I was a kid or, back in the day, that sort of stuff. But with me, yeah, it's the same thing. I'm like every other guy, every other entertainer, every other voice actor you've probably met is, it happens or it began whenever I was a little kid. And growing up with video games, growing up with cartoons, it really did inspire me about just storytelling in general. I remember, playing games on the Nintendo 64, playing Star Fox 64, playing Banjo-Kazooie, playing just other games that aren't coming to mind. And
Pokemon Snap?
Pokemon Snap. Pokemon Snap was great. I love the adventuring in that game. I know it's
Yeah.
a kind of a rail shooter type, you know what I mean? But just the exploration was always fun, especially when you're a little kid. It's great to just, sit back, take pictures of Pokemon and just like look at everything, the world, just like, oh my gosh, I wonder if Ash and the gang have been here. Oh my gosh, I wonder if Team Rocket's been here. That sort of stuff. But yeah, like video games really did impact me and cartoons too. My favorite cartoon of all time is Ed, Ed and Eddie. Um,
Oh, nice one. That was
yeah,
one of my favorites too.
yeah. Tony Sampson, Matt Hill, Sam Vincent are OGs. One of my friends, Gerard Castor, he's another great voice actor that everybody should follow. He just met Matt Hill at a con that he was working at, that he was guesting at, and that was so cool to see. I hope I can meet the Eds one day. That'd be super cool. But yeah, cartoons like that, Dexter's Lab, um, Johnny Bravo, Fairly Odd Parents, all those really did help me out as a kid. Uh, Nowadays, I used to talk so differently regarding this next subject, but I'm right now, currently, I'm 30 years old, about to be 31 in January, and I try to choose my words carefully now. I grew up in a very it was a very normal home, but at the same time, behind the scenes, a very, it could be abusive. And I feel like a lot of kids and a lot of people my age now, uh, they can relate to that. And I think a lot of people can relate to that growing up. There can be some type of abuse, whether it be uh, physical, emotional, that maybe even spiritual, in different ways. But for me, it was an escape. And I think anybody who's in the arts are an escape from whatever demons, whatever bad things that they've been going through in their lives, an area to express those feelings that they have in a positive way. I think that's beautiful, and I think that's what the arts are there for, at least one of the reasons. But for me, yeah, it was a big escape when I was a little kid. It was, uh, you know, my dad was my biggest hero when I was a kid, and he was known as the best hibachi chef in Jacksonville at some point. Um, Growing up. He worked really hard, worked 6 days a week, stopped taking vacations by the time I was in geez, like second or third grade. So he just was grinding the whole time. But there was just a lot of stuff, they didn't take care of. And, and both my parents had their demons, had stuff that, that was bothering them. And, in their age, in their time, therapy wasn't pushed. It wasn't encouraged. Um, excuse me. Finding the right crowd, finding a positive crowd was not pushed as it is today. And they, you know, they made their mistakes here and there.
I just,
Yeah.
I've always been curious, because hibachi chefs, do they cook for their household? Like,
No, they don't.
I,
No,
I
they don't.
I always kind of assumed maybe they did, and I was like, oh, I wish I had a hibachi chef at home.
Some of them don't. I mean, probably, a good amount do, but my dad didn't. He didn't want to cook. And it's just the same thing,
Yeah,
I don't want to talk about voiceover all the time, in my IRL, away from the booth life.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Sometimes, but it, that life consumes you and it becomes you. And I remember my dad, whenever he got that title, it was in the newspaper. I remember my
oh,
mom showed him and it was in the newspaper, and it's like he achieved a life goal,
yeah,
basically, proved and got people's respect. When you have people from the Jaguars, celebrities, movie stars that actually came into that restaurant that he was working at, and he cooked for them and had a good time with them, you know, you feel, fulfilled. But after that, it just was empty. There
yeah,
was nothing left. His one passion that he had growing up that I saw was surfing. He was legit at surfing, and he also had the look. My dad was the cat's meow back then. Yeah, all the chicks wanted to talk to Eugene. All the chicks wanted to talk to Gino at the restaurant he worked at. Yeah, and um yeah, my mom would be like, why is that woman talking to you? Just jokingly. And but it, all that stuff, it's crazy. All that stuff can get just pushed to the side if you don't take care of yourself.
yeah. I feel that. I um, I'm not. I don't take care of myself as much as I probably should.
Same, same.
Um, which leads me to like things like burnout, or leads me
Yep,
to things like not caring about my health in a way. And it's been so different now that I'm finally getting praise, and like people are looking up to me, and it's like I don't know if I'm someone to be looked up at yet. I mean, one day, I mean, I want to be. I But it is the struggle of trying to deal with that kind of imposter syndrome stuff that makes
yep,
me kind of self implode um,
yep.
sometimes. But with support and with people like not judging me, It's been a lot to influencing that I need to be better. I shouldn't be as much of a drinker as I am. I shouldn't be. I it's weird when you see other people's eyes on you and you don't have that own vision on yourself,
Yeah.
if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot. Insecurity has always been an issue of mine. Um, growing up, uh, this is gonna be a long one, if that's okay. So
Let's go.
growing up, the abuse I was talking about, I didn't really have an idea of it. People could say this is really soon, but when I was 4, you know, I saw that, you know, I saw that face to face, and just seeing how, violent my dad was one night. It was one night in 1999, and how he was with my mom. It was terrifying. I could still remember it. It's been years, decades, and I could still remember it. And I was 4, and I remember standing in the middle of the kitchen and the living room, and just him over her with like a knife after
Mm.
like haymaking her and everything. And my mom like looking over to me and yelling like, "Go to my room, go to my room," and I just kept watching because I wanted to do something. I wanted to help her, but I couldn't because I wasn't strong enough. So I just hid underneath blankets. My Lion King blanket, I can remember that. I was next to a green Tasmanian devil pillow. And, you know, other stuff that happened that night, just her getting beat up, and my mom was trying to take me out of the house, but my dad had grabbed her by the collar and held a gun up to her, and telling her, you can't leave here. Of course, he used other language, but yeah, you can't leave here. Thankfully, the neighbors heard us, and they called the police. And right when that happened, the police were outside. And after that, went to a mental institution for kids that weren't supposed to see certain things. And my parents, or well, spoiler alert, they stayed together. I don't know how that happened back then, but they titled it as church school, and it was actually a mental program. But why I say that story is that that messed with my mental a lot. And as I grew up, it really had a toll on me in certain ways. My health, the way I talked and perceived people, even as a kid, very, very, very scared. I can be a very scared person. I can be a very, you know, I can tremble at the presence of certain people and not know how they're going to react to me, or how they're going to talk to me, why they're being so forward and mean at times, that sort of stuff. Are they going to be mean? Or it all stems from back then when I was a kid. And as I grew up, as I started to, understand more about how my household was, it really did put in a deep insecurity in me that, you know, my dad can be effed up, and he's not the cleanest person, so our house was dirty a lot. Um, you're not the most healthiest kid, you're overweight, you have adopted this lifestyle that has been implemented by him personally, because my mom never really wanted me to eat a lot of sweets or anything, but my dad let it happen, and they would get in fights over that, spats here and there, and then I just remember it all led to me being 300 over 300 and something 45, 55, 45, 35, whatever it is, pounds by the sixth grade, man.
Yeah.
And that was a nightmare, an actual nightmare. I wanted to die, literally. Um, by that point too, I'd already like failed a grade, and just on kind of the fast track, dude,
Yeah.
on the fast track to dying. But yeah, man, the insecurity built big over time. By the time when I was in the sixth grade, it was at an all-time high, and people could say, "Yeah, I mean, you're still at a young age, still can change," but that doesn't change the fact that it felt like shit.
Yeah.
It felt like shit. I remember wanting to commit it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I remember taking the same knife that my dad tried to use, and I held it up to me. This was about when I was 8, but something stopped me, man. Something, I don't know what it was. You can call it, I don't know, the voice of the Doomslayer or something,
Yeah.
just saying, you cannot do this. You are meant for more. The
Yeah.
the voice of the Emperor of mankind from Warhammer
Yeah.
40K. It's a voice of good, a voice of righteousness, a voice of something deep
That's
in you or something in the heavens. I'm a believer. I don't throw that on anybody else, but it could be from God, could be from, it's funny when I was 20 something years old, my mom told me that she had an abortion and my dad told her to have it. I've always felt that I always felt that I had a big brother. And the thing is, though, he wasn't here. And I always felt that for some reason. It was always a big brother. It wasn't a big sister. It was a big brother. And, it's funny after my mom told me that, I just thought, in a funny way, it's like maybe that was him convincing me not to do it whenever I was 8. While it did get bad after that, gaining all that weight, and the insecurities were rampant. It's funny, at those moments you have to really dig deep and look into yourself and go, do you want to lose here? Do you want to really like fold it in
yeah.
and uh and just give up? Or are you going to rise above it day by day, do the best you can and try to make something out of yourself? Because at the end
Yeah.
of the day, you know, the best we can do is just be the best we can be.
Yeah.
And that's a day by day struggle, you know.
Yeah.
So, whatever you're dealing with, man, like day by day. It doesn't have to be a year, it doesn't have to be a month. It can be hourly, you know, just winning every day in a way helps,
Yeah.
whatever that may be.
And a lot of what you said too, right, really connects to just my every day for me actually. But,
Mhm.
so I had a little bit of a different but similar with body shaming myself. My metabolism was just way too fast, and everyone would always be like, "You're skin and bones," and you are, you know, I later found out that my childhood PTSD from um, getting abused and getting not by my parents, but by family members and being the youngest brother. I have three older brothers. There was a lot of bullying by my older
Yeah, yeah.
brothers, and um, but when I would go out into the world, I would always be treated like the weak kid. The I was skeleton was something that people would call me all the time,
Mm, mm.
and it wasn't something I could change. Like I mean, my metabolism is what it was, but I also have an eating disorder, and that's what a lot of why like I don't eat as much as I should. Like probably once a day, and it's dinner. Um, and it's the starving myself was never connected to my mental health, at least that I have known. But I do understand the aspect of slowly trying to kill yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because that's
Yeah.
when I lost sports. That's what my mental state was like I don't care if I ingest this drug or do any, put myself in a freeway and walk across a highway because I was just like, if it's my time, let it be because
Yeah.
I did not want to live for the longest time. It took me till it took a moment of I don't know, spiritual. I still don't even know how to describe this. The because the day I quit meth was the day it was in one day,
Wow.
and it was the day my whole life changed, and and at that time, like I hated myself. I hated everything I've
Yeah.
done. I hated everything about me. Um, I hated the fact that I couldn't find love. I hated the fact that I couldn't be like I didn't feel lovable. Um, and in that moment that night, I had some sort of spiritual experience where I heard the voice of my great aunt who raised me, who's basically like my grandmother. Um, and she was like, everything's gonna be okay. You just gotta
Yeah.
believe in yourself. Try again. So I wasn't trying at that time. Um, and I was able to quit the hardest drug to quit in one day.
That's incredible.
And I don't know that, and the whole aspect of this experience was like my life could have purpose as long or if I try to share my experience and try to change the world. It's no longer about me because I was very selfish in the way I thought back then. And for some reason, when that experience hit, it wasn't no longer about me wanting to harm myself. It was more about me wanting to heal the world.
Hmm.
And when I die, I die. But until that happens, I do have some sort of power to help others.
Yeah, man. That's incredible. That's beautiful, man. I'm glad that you're still here, man. I'm glad that you heard your great aunt. Um, and I'm glad that, man, that's just incredible. Yeah, meth is dangerous, man. And for you to quit it in one day, that's an awakening. That it's you leveled up big time. You used all your experience points and leveled up at that point and was like, yeah, I'm beyond that. I'm good, and you remember it, but that's just amazing, man.
Right on, man.
I'm
Yeah.
glad. I'm
I'm
glad
about
that you're here.
I'm about to hit 10 years sober in
Hell
February,
yeah.
off hard drugs or anything like that. I mean, I still drink
Hell
it.
yeah.
I still drink, but that's nothing compared to what I was
No.
doing earlier.
Nah, dude. Nah. I mean, everybody. I mean, once in a while, like I drink sake with my lads, and we celebrate, the little victories, man. The little victories is what gets you along in life, right?
Yeah. With your
And
lads, are you
are the
Scottish?
nuts? No, I'm not. I'm not.
Uh,
It's just a word. It's just a word that we use a lot. It's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. But
oh, okay.
that's beautiful, brother.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, I'm half Scottish. That's why I asked.
I'm gonna do I can't do a Scottish accent, but I try. I gotta take a class for that.
Oh, damn.
But yeah, man, it's that's beautiful, and Trauma and just those type of experiences really do mold you and build you into the person you are. And it's a blessing once you can get past it. It just gives you perspective, man. I know for me, especially having been in this field for 7 years now, and uh, especially being remote, it can definitely you can get jaded in certain ways, in certain aspects. But I'm glad that my friends really do keep me grounded. None of the, except one or two, maybe. I think two of them are, but one of them I live with. He's the reason why I'm in voice acting. you know, Most of them are not voice actors and they keep me grounded. They keep me leveled and kind of remind me where I came from. And people I don't really talk to nowadays that I grew up with, I remember them and I remember the stuff I went through with them. And of course, the parent, the family stuff. I remember that, and you just tend to remember, once you put all that together, tend to remember where you came from. It's a, you know, I think it's important.
I had to leave behind a lot of the people I grew up with.
Mm.
The I it was my community of circumstance. The people that were living on the same block as me when I was a kid, who
Mm.
all got into gangs and they became criminals and stuff like that. But I grew up with them till I was able to acknowledge that these people weren't good to be around with.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, because yeah, I grew up in a very ghetto community in Thornton, so there was just gangs all around me. There was so much violence all around me. I mean, I saw someone get shot at a party when
Whoa.
I think I was like 16 or something.
Holy shit.
I've been shot at twice, and it was another moment of um
Oh my
something that
God.
shouldn't have happened because yeah, I was leaving this club. They had like high school night at club in Denver,
Mm.
and I was just pulling out, and then someone shot 6 bullets into my Cadillac I was driving, and so one bullet went through my trunk, it went through my sub speaker, through my back seat, and then into my seat and stopped in the driver's seat. But the
Holy.
but the one that went through the windshield or the back windshield, I don't know, yeah, the back window stopped in my headrest
Oh
and
my gosh.
in foam. And even the cops were like, there was no way this bullet should have stopped. Like I gave faith to cops because they were like when they did the whole investigation, like that bullet should have went through the back of my head, but
Oh
for
my.
some reason it stopped. Um, I mean, at that time though, my mental state wasn't like I should use this moment to appreciate that I should be alive. It was more like, ah, it was just nothing. Like I still didn't care about my own life at that time.
Yeah.
But yeah, at the end of the day, it was basically the world or spirituality, God saying that you need to be alive because of something. I don't know what that was.
That's crazy, man. That's wild. Again, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah, I don't even
Holy
know
shit.
why it happened. It was a car that pulled up behind me. I'm thinking it was gang related because I was driving a blue Cadillac and they were driving like a red Maserati or something like that. But
Yeah.
I, I still have no idea why these people try to kill me.
Holy crap. Dude, yeah, you've been through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I have no words. I have no words. And again, I can keep saying I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that, the whole team has, been gathered by you and all that jazz. But again, just overall here, doing this podcast and talking and just living, man. Holy crap.
Yeah, so that's just one of I've been through so much, but yeah, I mean, one of the stories I haven't told on this podcast is it was outside of my college. I was just walking to the gas station, get a pack of cigarettes or something,
Yeah.
and I walked in the middle of two people fighting, and I had no idea I was because there was like only one way to get to the gas station because it was like there was a
Yeah.
wall and two people were on each side of the and they pulled out guns and started shooting at each other.
Oh my
And
gosh.
literally right as I was walking past it, and I have no idea how close the bullets were to me, but they weren't shooting at me, but I could just hear and feel like both of my ears were ringing. Bullets like went right behind me.
Holy crap.
Yeah, and that was a moment of like
Did
uh,
that just happen? That's wild.
what was crazy too is that I I couldn't just like process it because I had to get back in like 10 minutes to because I was an RA at the dorms at the time. So I had to
Oh,
get
yo, nice.
back to work. So like I literally had to just I had to walk back past through them. It did look like they didn't hit each other, or if they
Yeah.
did, they ran off. But like I didn't have time to process it. Had to walk right back. Yeah,
Yeah, again, wow. Just a lot of gun shooting. That's and just
yes.
dodging it like that, or getting in the middle of it, and then the bullet's not, just basically zooming past you or just stopping. I don't know, man. It's like you got a guardian angel.
That's at the end of the day, I do, and I think it is my great aunt
Mm.
because because this well, I had a guardian angel before that though.
Mm.
That
You
was
can
the
have
one.
multiple.
Yeah, the whole thing with Santeria and stuff is that it's a family line of ancestors who protect
Yeah,
the family line. Saint
that's
Barbara,
awesome.
Saint Barbara is our family's. Um, I forget the word. Our
So,
spiritual protector,
yeah. No.
and I I should have died like probably more than 10 times. There's like so many moments that it was like someone was looking out for me when yeah like I mean there was a time I was driving from Denver to Grand Junction, where I was Grand Junction is where was going to college at first,
Yeah.
Mesa State, and there was a like 20 car pile up with death and all this crazy stuff, and somehow
Oh.
my car did not hit any other car that was doing the pile up. Somehow my car, same blue Cadillac. I don't know, that Cadillac has just saved me multiple times.
Holy crap. Yeah, man. That Cadillac is valuable.
Yeah, it was ended up being you put when you sell it and they destroy it. But
Yeah.
I don't I don't know what it was with that Cadillac, but that Cadillac saved me multiple times.
That's good. It's a very valuable Cadillac. You got the most out of it, man.
And I got it from so two neighbors down from where I grew up. There was this old family that was like one of our neighbors that we knew, and my mom would make little cheese ball things for
Yeah.
Christmas for them, and he passed away, and their whole estate went into auction.
Mm.
He actually won that Cadillac on
Ah,
Jeopardy. Jeopardy,
Jeopardy?
yeah, and Like yeah, like that
Wild.
Cadillac what came from Jeopardy to this n neighbor, and then we won it in the auction. It was
What the heck?
uh, and my parents bought that for me for my like 16. I was 16 for like
Yeah.
my birthday. Yeah, like that
That's crazy lore.
that Cadillac, man.
That
Yeah.
basically got a car from Jeopardy from Alex Trebek. Rest in peace.
Rest
Rest
in
in
peace.
peace. Rest in peace.
Uh, I I wish I remember the name of the owner. I just remember his grandson's name was Hunter.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, I honestly I hadn't even really tied all of that stuff together till like right now. Like that Cadillac actually was is it was like a gift from God in a way. The way that
Like that is correct. You are supposed to be alive. Now make an impact.
yeah. And now I'm working in television and working all this stuff like
Yeah,
the,
man.
the way it all
We're not going to
connected.
talk about that. We're not going to talk about that because of NDA, but the cooking, cooking, man, cooking, cooking. I can't wait for everybody to see what, um, you know, what you, the team, the voice actors, everybody are working on. It's going to be special.
Yeah, and it's going to change the world for humans and animals all
Oh
at the
yeah.
same time.
And animals. Yes, I've grown to be a big animal lover. Uh, totally real, totally real. Wasn't really while I was growing up, but in my time, I lived with a friend of mine and his family while I was in college or getting out of college and uh, just going through a lot of stuff, and they let me stay. Uh, I was working two jobs at the time, so I did my keep. I was, losing sleep and all that stuff. I was doing voice acting in a desk job, but they were big dog lovers. They had three dogs, and it's funny when those dogs unfortunately passed because they were very old when I began living there, like 18, 19. So they lived
Yeah,
long lives. They got a new dog, and that was honestly it became like my first dog, and it just yeah, it gave me perspective. Um, and so I just look at animals definitely differently.
yeah,
They're harmless. I don't like when people hurt them. It's disgusting because humans can defend themselves. Animals sometimes can't,
yeah,
and they didn't do anything to you. So it's just like, what the heck did the cat do to you? That sort of
yeah.
thing. Just minding its own business.
I mean, an animal was Fritzy. I still have his collar somewhere.
It becomes a
I can't
family
pick it,
member.
but yeah, I mean, I was
They
when they
become
got
family.
when they got the my parents got the dachshund. Um, I was like 6 or something, and he was my best friend
Yep.
for the longest time. And one of the hardest things that I've had to go through was when he got old and he had to be put down, and I held him during that moment when the doctor
Mm.
had to put down Fritzy, and like that was
Mm.
one of the hardest things for me. And there's I mean there's a big community out there, not community, but just people who believe that animals don't have souls because of something in the Bible saying only humans
It
have
has a soul.
souls.
It can love, right?
It can love, and yeah, and it could feel like that Fritzy was he was there for me. He knew when I was sad. He would always come to comfort me when I was sad and when I was going through some of the moments of wanting to self-harm, that he somehow understood that
Hmm.
and always letting me know that I was loved. Because a lot of it, a lot of my self-harm when I was young had to do with um breakups
Mm,
and
gotcha.
me not knowing how to process that, which I've recently found out probably because I was an incubator baby. So I didn't have lived in incubator for 2 weeks after I was born. So I like
Mm,
was alone in a box. The way that my dogs have impacted me is like I have a new Fritzy who's another dachshund. He just hit 10 years old too. I'm I grieve already that
yeah,
knowing that he's only gonna be with me for a couple more years, and
yeah.
I love that dog.
Animals, dogs, family, they have a an impact on us and they change us for the better. Um, Never grew up with with an animal, with a pet. I had a pet lizard once. I'm not going to count that. I didn't understand. I did not understand. And that that lizard deserved better. I didn't give it enough attention. And nowadays, it's just, you know, it matters, and whoever thinks that they don't have a soul, if they don't have a soul, then they don't love. It's simple as that. You don't have to complicate it. People complicate crap like that. Excuse me, not crap. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They overthink and they complicate it, and I'm like, oh no, man. I don't know. I,
yeah,
I I believe that animals they do have a soul, and especially dogs, cats, just anything that you give life to.
yeah,
You like awaken it. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to be a philosopher or just someone who trying to talk smart, but I know at least with dogs and cats, I've seen it. Like they can they can definitely help you in times of need. Um,
yeah.
I'm sorry for your loss,
Oh,
and I
oh.
know that the time now is kind of difficult.
All living things deserve equality.
Yep.
They
Yep.
deserve to live. They don't deserve to be. I know I get into this with I don't approve of hunting, but
I get
yeah,
it. Yeah,
I don't approve of hunting
I
animals.
it's weird. It's for me, it's weird because, I know I have family that hunts. And that's just their culture. That's just how they were raised. And I'm not going to try to
Yeah,
change them. It's their life. But for me, again, because of my time with my friend's family, it just feels weird.
yeah,
I can't shoot another animal. It just feels odd. Um,
yeah. Like
yeah.
even when I fish, I actually hope I don't catch a fish because I don't want to hurt the fish.
Yeah, you're
But
just out there to just sit down. Sit down on the boat. Yep. Sit on the boat, have a beer, or or just, just I don't know, read some manga, watch reels on Instagram,
at, at the end of the day, I treat it like Pokemon in a way. I'm like, I want to catch it,
and then release it.
but then I really,
Yeah. I don't want to make it like I'm transitioning for like making this person out to be an animal. But you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
but the concept of loss. The concept of loss is it's a hard topic to talk about. It's deep, and I appreciate you bringing it up. It's very you have to be very strong to tell those stories. And I think I've been telling it in podcasts. I told it in a recent one that I did with a gentleman named Onyx. People should go look up his podcast. He interviews a lot of anime voice actors, game voice actors. But you know, this last year, man, these last few years have been very rough for me, at least, in regards to loss and grieving. You know, My mother was my first best friend, and I think a lot of sons, a lot of young men can relate to that. Um, Everywhere in the world, you know, and especially after, you know, what happened, what I saw when I was 4 years old in 1999, my relationship with her grew because the more I got older, the more I knew, what was going on. And, a lot of people could because I've explained the story a lot to on podcasts and to other individuals, and they could probably ask like, why didn't she leave? Why did and I'm like, love is complicated.
Yeah.
I'm not going to explain it. Like all of us have been addicted to something that's toxic. If you haven't, man, you must be Superman or Superwoman because damn. you know,
Yeah.
but that doesn't mean we got to stay there. Um And unfortunately, when you're in that marriage and you think that's the only source of love that you can get, and your home life, uh, you know, growing up, it wasn't. It was always it was toxic here and there, and you go to someone else that's toxic. It's like a vicious cycle, man. And her and I lived through that hell together. I didn't have a lot of friends growing up. Um, I died for friends, man. And I did get some. And I hung out with them for a little bit, and I still remember them. I hope they're doing well. But again, you transition through life. But the struggle at home was always a constant. There was always somewhat physical behind my back, a lot of verbal, a lot of just emotional, and I could see the toll it took on her over time. My dad made her like quit her job to because he thought that she was cheating on him.
Oh,
So he's very controlling. And my mom, I just remember her being in her room like for years, just, existing. And I just felt powerless and didn't know what to do. And, I'm not going to get into the whole story, but like, my friends and I helped her out, got her out of there. I can write a book on that. And, you know, I'm glad that she met my stepdad. Unfortunately, my dad passed away in 2015. It's funny. The doctors said that everything was healthy except his heart. And for a while there, I'm gonna be honest, I still hold it to this day, a little bit of guilt, like, dying of a broken heart. And I do believe in that. They said heart disease, and I'm just like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Maybe, but yeah. Uh, I'm glad that, I was able to make peace with him at the end. And he was wanting to change, but I didn't get to see that. Um, but back to my mom, yeah, she was my best friend. We lived through hell and back multiple times. She was I still remember her giving me a big hug after I failed the fourth grade, and that was a devastating day. I felt like the biggest fucking loser in the world. And she's like, "It's gonna be okay. I still love you. You know, I still believe in you." And even when my dad back then found out and he's just like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do with your life? That sort of thing. I'm saying, I'm going to fix it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to fix it. And my mom, is still, standing strong and, telling me everything's going to be all right. This is a second chance. Life is giving you a second chance, you know, trying to say some words to motivate me,
yeah.
basically. And
Yeah,
yeah, man.
so my parents were both in a previous marriage
Yeah.
before they met each other. Um, had my older brothers in different marriages. Both of them, um, my my brothers, my brother Adam's father passed, and then my other brother's mother passed. I had no, I had, I don't know how to console them because they still deal with it to this day.
Yep.
And it was like I felt a little helpless of like I not knowing how to help my brothers.
Yeah.
And I still feel like that. I don't know how to show them as much that I'm very fearful of losing my parents. Like that is one thing that like when I start thinking about it, because
Yep.
they both go through problems. My mom is legally blind, and she has really bad vertigo issues, and she falls all the time and gets herself hurt and has to get
Damn.
taken to the hospital a lot.
Yep.
And then my dad has really bad um, blood pressure and heart issues. Um, I'm lucky. I know I'm lucky that I still have them in my life and they care so much about me. And I'm
No, man.
actually live with my parents right now. After
That's great.
college,
Hey, that's fine.
yeah, after college, it was either go homeless or ask my parents if I could move back with them. Because
Yeah.
as a
If you have a roof over your head, and if you know if they want you there, who cares? I mean, I have friends that do the same thing, and it's part of their culture. They're Japanese, and in Japanese culture, that is actually frowned upon to leave the family behind.
yeah,
It's just the American culture and it's the American narrative, especially right now. I'm not gonna get into that.
no,
Even if you want to live by yourself, you'll have to, you know, make a lot of money, but you can't really do that now. But, that's another subject. That's another
yeah,
podcast.
that's another podcast.
That's another
Yeah.
podcast.
The
But
one thing is they've always believed in me and allowed me to chase all the dreams that I've had, like being my main first dream was to be a um uh NBA basketball player,
mhm,
and I got to play college basketball, and then my body failed me, and then I couldn't um play sports anymore.
I feel that. I
And
feel
then
that. I had on my as childish as it sounds, on my journey to help my mother whenever I was in high school, I tore both my ACLs by
yeah,
my senior year, and I played with them both unoperated on.
jeez.
You know
How?
that as an athlete,
Yeah,
how
because
serious that actually is.
one of the ones I tore was my MCL, but
Yep.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's not pretty, and I will never. Now, see, the thing is, I take actually a little bit of ownership because I said yes. The coaches convinced me that colleges will still be looking, and I said yes. So I'll take ownership of that. But being a again 30-year-old man, who can actually be a father right now, I would never want my son or daughter to play for coaches that would do that.
Yeah,
Because if you're a student athlete, you already know that that's the writing on the wall, that you need to get operated on for your health, all that stuff, all that jazz. And to okay a kid for playing like that, once you get older, you start to be like, that's actually pretty effed up,
yeah.
you know?
I yeah, like coaches. I've talked about coaches in the past. Coaches were actually the biggest bullies that I've ever had.
Yep.
The way that I cry when I'm hurt, I cry when I'm in pain, I cry when I'm happy, I cry when I'm bad. But I would, I would get, I was a quarterback on this team, and I would get hit hard, and I would cry, and my coaches would just be like, "Oh, rub dirt, get up." Stop crying. You're a little girl. They'd call me
Yeah.
gay. They were like, you're just a little
Wow.
baby, all this stuff. And I was their number one star player. And I was the one getting bullied by these coaches. Um,
Their star player. I would, okay. Yeah, I
yeah,
wouldn't talk to my star quarterback like that.
like I never left the field. I was their safety and their quarterback. I was always playing. And the way they talked down to me made me actually change the way I played sports.
Yep.
Because that next year, I one thing I was like, I do not want to be on their team anymore. And that next year,
Oh,
I joined a different team. This was like, I I was young too, like I don't know, like 10 or something.
yeah.
Um, I joined a different team, and then every time I got hit, I would laugh, then cry instead of crying. And I was like scaring. Oh, I was also the quarterback of this team, but I would scare people because when someone would hit me hard as a quarterback, I would
You
just
laugh.
laugh at them.
Yeah.
And it was a they traumatized me in the way to do that. And so now,
Mm.
and then they put me into that mental state of when I went to high school and was playing high school sports to laugh at my pain rather than crying at it. Um, and I think that really did impact me when it came down to like self-harm stuff, was that I would laugh when I would cut myself or something like that rather than cry.
Yeah.
Or when I was heartbroken or something like that,
Yeah.
I was channeling a different emotion through it, making me more acceptable of self-harm rather than actually feeling pain when it would happen.
Hmm.
That makes sense. Like, yeah,
It does.
that's yeah,
Coaches,
I
yeah.
need a lot of therapy, man.
I think we all do. But yeah, coaches can have a terrible, influence on you, and it sucks because I've had good ones. I've had two great ones that have honestly saved my life. It's just the people, man. It's the people that you come in contact with, and I'm sorry that you had to deal with that. I wish that you could have experienced, some good guys, some good individuals to teach you and to mold you. That's unacceptable, man. It's unacceptable.
I did have a few good coaches.
Hmm.
Um, Specifically in baseball. Baseball
Uh,
was actually the sport that everyone said I was going to make it famous playing, but it was the sport I didn't like as much. I'd play it.
yeah,
Um, then I hit high school, and coaches treated me like shit.
it's just a
When
different group.
one thing I didn't even mention, so this great little segue to college basketball when I played for Lamar. Um, my coaches, so I was the only brown player on the team. It was a team of 25. Um, it was probably like a good like 15 white folk. I'm bad at math. Six, no, however many black folk, and then I was the only brown person. My coaches were calling me Dirty Sanchez behind my
Mm,
back. I had no idea until one of them accidentally sent me a text that was
dirty.
meant for the other coach. I texted him
Okay.
and I was like, because th we had to have a meeting. It was when I got my DUI and coaches heard about it, and like I had to meet with the coaches, and
Yeah.
the coach, because I asked him, I was like, when should I come meet with y'all? And then that coach sent the message to the head coach and said, when should Dirty Sanchez come um, meet with us? And that was just like, I knew they had always treated me differently. They always
Yeah.
like, literally, the reason why I was on that basketball team wasn't because of my skill. It was because of what adversity hires, what's it
Mm,
called? Like, and then I found out later on from some of the other um players that yeah, both of those coaches hate brown people.
wow.
So I was the yeah,
Cool.
the diversity hire. I was the
Yeah.
diversity hire on that. And what that did to my own self-esteem,
Just bad.
it was bad. Like
No.
I couldn't even like keep myself together, like believing that I can actually be an athlete anymore. And that's all I worked for
I
since
feel
I
that.
was like 4 years old was to be a pro basketball player or a pro football player.
I feel that. I feel that. I can relate. And it's funny the group of people that you get stuck with sometimes can dictate your future. And unfortunately, I think, for some it's just it can be devastating.
Yeah,
Devastating. But kind of segueing back, it's I tried my best, man, trying to help my mom out with sports. I can relate. I was trying to become a college athlete because I thought that I could get my mom out of the situation she was in by getting a full ride. Because I thought to myself with a full ride, and I trust myself to do well in college. Um, with a full ride, she wouldn't have to worry, and I can, start to take care of myself and basically give the middle finger to my dad.
yeah,
um, but life is definitely more complicated than that. I had to find another way, but playing with those two torn ACLs was a nightmare. It hurt, and but my mom still believed in me throughout that whole thing. I didn't really talk to her about what I was trying to do, but I think she caught on a little bit, especially during my senior year, and she still believed in me, and just kind of in silence, just you know, said for me to just keep going, basically, and to just keep believing in myself and all that. But yeah, she was my first best friend, and even when football ended and I didn't know what to do in college and transitioning out of sports and basically into like student affairs in college and then into voice acting, was always my cheerleader, man. Was always there. And she had her rough spots too. She had issues with alcohol, and man, we had sometimes the roughest fights with that. Uh, but she still was, to some people, the one of the jolliest and funniest women that they've ever met. Um, very talented. I
well,
miss her. I miss her a lot, man. It's been a year now. Uh,
sorry for your loss, man, and thank you for being so vulnerable and talk about it.
of,
She sounds like someone I would have loved to meet.
oh, you all would have been able to talk and relate on a lot of stuff. Actually, my mom didn't tell me a lot about her youth, but she went through a lot. She was a wild child a little bit, and I always say now that she lived a full life in the amount of years that she had. It was she lived in kind of the fast lane with my dad, and it caught up to her a little bit. Just even with getting better at here and there, it's the people you meet, the people that you surround yourself with, and the choices that you make, man. It will carry you into your 50s, to your 60s. And, that's why it's so important to make good choices when you're young. That's why, that's what I've learned from them, both of them. But yeah, this past year, man, it's been difficult. It's on it. These podcasts, man. I don't mean to make them this way, but they have been kind of like therapy sessions. I mean, I've done cons now. I've done, you know podcasts since October of last year, man. And by that point, man, my mom, she had lost, man. It was just a lot, man. She had an accident,
Yeah,
and she lost I think it was her, I'm trying to remember, her left down from her knee down. She lost that leg. She got she got diagnosed with like some rare skin disease that made her skin brittle. She had MS. She had type 2 diabetes. She was very sick. And I would never want even if I ever had one, my worst enemy to go through seeing somebody that they cherish getting cut down slowly,
Yeah.
slowly. I remember being with her. I flew up to Washington in 2023 and she had open heart surgery. And then she was just so happy to see me. And I just remember, I lied. And I said, "Hey, mom, I think I found a way into Crunchyroll," knowing damn well that Crunchyroll doesn't do remote voiceovers anymore,
Oh.
just to make her happy. And this is no hate on Crunchyroll. I just said that. I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just at that time, yeah. Um,
And gets us to our sponsor, Crunchyroll.
oh
No, just kidding.
fuck.
I'm just kidding. Sorry about
Nah, I
that.
have a lot of friends that work there. I hope they're doing well. But
Man, yeah,
um,
it
I
sounds so
lied.
hard, man. I wish I would have been, I wish I was your friend at that time and would have been able to, be there for you, man.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you, Chris. Thankfully, man, I've not to undersell that or anything. It's just I've had the people that helped me help her back in my senior year. I've stayed friends with them. Two of them I live with. Uh, one of them I've been friends with for close to 17 years now. The other 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And they've seen me go through it. They've seen the high and they weren't there for it, thank God, but physically, but they saw the low. And I remember last year, it just so many close calls. And then, man, I remembered this the about 3 weeks before it happened. We had a close call, and I had driven from my friend Donald's place in Atlanta 8 hours back to Orlando. And then I got the call that it might be time, and I had to drive 8 or 10 hours up to North Carolina that same day. And I thought I was going to say goodbye at that point, but she held on for a few more weeks. And man, when that time came, I still remember the last conversation I had with her, man. I was in my booth. I was doing work. And the deal I had with her was I'm just going to go about my business. And that's what she wanted. She didn't want me to be like, she didn't want me to be up there worried, scared, all that. She wanted me to move on with my life. She wanted me to hang out with my friends, all that jazz. Go about, be happy. So I would have to say the best acting gig I ever had, that I will ever have probably in the rest of my life, no matter how big I ever get, is faking living a good life while my mom was dying. That has got to be
Yeah.
the hardest fucking acting job I've ever done, and I probably will ever do. You can't teach life, man. It's the best to me. It's the best teacher for acting and just a lot of business and a lot of things in general. But dude, I did voiceover auditions. I did auditions. I grinded. I did all that stuff while she was sick. While being paranoid, I was paranoid over every text I ever got up until that point. And I still remember the last conversation I had. She was in the hospital. She was in and out. And I said, I don't know if I'll, feeling so bad saying this, I might see you next week. I might drive up, all that. And she's like, okay, I love you. I'll see you later. And her face, it was funny. The light was dimmed because she was sleeping. So I couldn't really see her face. And, oh no, I said goodnight and hung up the phone. I was just like, man, I think that's it. And lo and behold, the next morning I got the call. And it was like, yep, it's time. Um, I sat with my mom for 3 hours bedside. Doctor's telling me that she doesn't have a lot of time left. And man, that was a fucking nightmare. And I don't think I'll ever forget this. Just remember just holding her hand. And she was in and out, she was, you know, in a state,
Yeah.
you know. And I remember looking over and going, um, I told her I'm gonna make you proud. Because at that point, one podcast, 10, 100, 1,000 cannot express how much how much like, she meant to me and how much, at least for us, what we could handle,
Yeah.
how much we cared about each other and how much we were there for each other growing up or when I was growing up, how much, she meant to me and how much I meant to her. I could still feel her to this day. And I feel a lot of people can relate to that with loved ones that they've lost. And, man, but though you can call this a moment of weakness, but I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't handle it anymore. The doctors were like, you do what you got to do to get through. I don't think your mother will, you know, my mom would not want me to see her like that.
Yeah.
And she would want me to go check up on my stepdad too. And it's funny, man. I went to go see him and he's a grizzled special forces vet, 14 tours, all that jazz. Has seen combat, has seen life. It's, and he told me, he's like, I've been through a lot of funerals, Josh. I've been through a lot of loss, and you have to make peace. Your mother could have passed away while you were driving over here. She could have passed away when you were there. She could have passed away last week. She could have passed away right now. But you have to have peace with yourself that, and know that she loves you and that, she'll be with you. You'll see her again at some point, but right now is not the time. And I was like, I think I can live with that, I think. And he's like, I know you can, but just know, sometimes you're not going to have the movie ending.
Yeah.
And I don't know. This is very, very, very cocky of me to say. In my mind, this is no hate on my stepdad at all. Nothing. I was just like, well, you do know my mom and I. It may end dramatic. And it's funny. At 4:30 a.m., my stepdad comes into my room and there at his house and he says, we got to go. The doctor's just called. And I was like, all right. He's like, are you coming? Or are you going? I'm like, I'm going. He's like, good man. Let's go. So my mom's friend, him and I, we drive to Fort Liberty. People know it as Fort Bragg. And I don't know, man. I'm not trying to make believers out of God, out of an ultimate force in the universe. But man, while we were driving, my stepdad and we were on the long road to the hospital. We were straight away, about 2 minutes away. We look up in the sky, and it's not a solar flare. There's no tests going on. And I could say that because we're at Fort Liberty. There are no tests going on. We see in the sky a green shooting star. And I'm not talking. Half a second later, Chris's phone rings. He looks up and it says Kim on it. And that's my mother's name. He answers it. There's no one answering for a good about 10 seconds, 15 seconds. And it's the doctors that actually got her phone and said, "Hey, how close are you all?" He said, "We're very close." And they're like, "Good. It is time. She doesn't have too much longer." And I couldn't believe what I had just seen. That timing. I, yeah, I, we went and saw her. At this point, I don't know what to say. Her and I had been through so much at that point. And just to see her at this state at
Yeah.
the end of the road, basically. And at this age, at that point, 29 years old, I didn't know I was going to lose my mom. We had just, for the last 10 years, she had been with my stepdad, her soulmate, basically. And I mean, I thought different. And my mom already knew I loved her. Again, there's nothing to prove. There is nothing to prove. All my bros, all my lads told me there's nothing to prove. And I said to myself, what are my last words going to be to her? And I have to explain this carefully because some people may think of it as cheap. So when I was in middle school, man, at that point, like I told you before, sixth grade, by that point, failed a grade, tried to commit suicide, saw a lot of things for myself that I could handle, was overweight, obese, ready to die. The coach that was there brought me into football and he taught us this creed. And the creed goes, uh, this is the beginning of a new day. God has given us this day to use as we will. We can waste it or use it for good. For what we do today is important, for we have exchanged a day of our lives for it. We want it to be good, not bad, gain, not loss, success, not failure, so that we will never regret the price that we paid for it. I learned that whenever I was 13 years old. I'm an older individual now, and I still remember it. And I know a lot of people or a lot of those kids that I was with probably don't remember it, and that's fine. That's nothing on them. It's nothing on them. But it meant something to me because at that point it was the first damn positive thing in my life that actually meant a shit. And it meant a shit to my mom and I because it actually, if it wasn't for that creed and learning that and like going through all that, going like being motivated to go to the weight room by myself, losing all that fucking weight, pushing myself to get a better education, going to a private school, do football, do it injured, do it with two torn ACLs to the point of no return, basically in the sports world. You know, make great friends, try to be myself, get her out, and have her find her soulmate to the point where it's just like all she wanted to do was see him. Because that's true love, you know?
Yeah.
I'm like, I cannot dishonor that creed. That is my creed now. That is the Josh Portillo creed. That is no one else's creed. I mean, someone else can take ownership of it and call it their creed, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, that's my creed. That's our creed. That's what fucking got us out of that shit.
Yeah.
And that was the last words that I said to her in her ear.
Mhm.
To me, that can be deeper than an I love you. That is a I will see you on the other side.
It's beautiful, man. And it's beautiful.
And and I remember leaving the room and my stepdad took my place. And I just sat outside of the room because my mom was always rebellious and she was always like, "Let me do this. I got it. I got it. Don't worry about me. I'm a tough girl. I got it." And she would always be she said that more to me. Even when she was kind of like not as sick, she was strong as bull. That's what she used to say. And I was like, "You know what? Chris is going to take my spot. My stepdad's going to take my spot. I'm going to take a chair. I'm going to sit outside the room. I'm going to let you do your business. You're a big girl. You don't need me to hold your hand. And of course, I kept it together. Having this having this strong man, this strong individual who's my stepdad, who's seen death, who has seen death. He's told me stories and it's horrifying. It's like if you it's like Vinland Saga or some shit. Keeping it together with him, I had to hold it all in and I had never screamed that loud before in my car. I had to drive home back to Orlando or back to Jacksonville, wherever I went. Yeah, it was Jacksonville. Um, I drove home that morning right after it happened because I could not
Yeah.
deal with staying there, and they understood. But I've never screamed that loud before in my life. And excuse me, but it's funny, while I was going through my moment, I could just envision something in my head. I don't know why my mind went here, but like I can envision my mom like getting up because she was in a wheelchair due to her losing the leg. And I can envision her getting up on 2 feet and just looking down on me and going, "Don't feel sorry for me. You have you have to go, move." And I remember just like I was in my moment, straight dead face. I turned to a straight dead face, put the car in gear, and drove home. I don't know how I fucking did that. It was pretty rough. I knew I kept telling myself I'm not okay right now, but I will be. Um, and I made an oath to myself that you have to keep going for her. You have to make her proud and all that stuff. And, you know, make something out of yourself. Like show yourself that how big, how, what you can do, respond. Like you've been dealt with this hit. How are you going to respond?
Yeah.
It's like I don't care if there's not a lot of studios around you. I don't care that you don't have a lot of resources. Make something out of yourself and do something. No one's gonna feel sorry for you. You can have your moments, you can grieve, you can mourn. Please take those moments. Your friends will be there for you. You can mourn with them. But you gotta
But
keep moving forward.
you gotta
E-
believe in yourself.
Exactly. And I remember 2 weeks after that, man, I was at my first con that I was a guest at. And it was a good experience. It got my feet wet. And then after that, man, us talking by this point, I went to I think 12 or 13 straight cons with the bare ass minimum. Because I'm not a big anime voice actor or anything like that. I'm not gonna have huge lines, but it wasn't about that. It was about doing it for her. Like again, when life deals you something like that, you gotta clap back somehow to show that you got some fight in you. And just to, make her proud. It's like I ain't gonna let that. I'm not gonna let that take me down. And this year I was like, I want to do, what I can with my abilities. I'm not the best. I have a lot to learn, but I know I can do something. Um, and I'll dedicate it to her. And whether it's big or whether it's small, I don't care. Like if I feel it, then it's an achievement. In May, there was a role that came to me that, it was for this client through a studio that I work with in Miami, Centauro. And it was for this project with a cat. And I'm like, they wanted me to audition for all these different animals. And I'm like, well, I've tried th 2 or 3 times and I still can't get it. dang, these other characters, I thought I got it, but I can't. And they're like, well, they want you to audition for this last character. He's the main character of the whole series. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, yeah, it's a cat named Tom. And I'm like, all right, I don't know who the fuck that is, but okay. I don't know who the fuck that is. Uh, by this point, I've had a few episodes. I hadn't been the nicest person to be around for obvious reasons. I've had talks with my friends, and one of them who I talk to a lot here at the house or at the apartment. You know, we reminisce sometimes on our days in high school, and I do miss a little bit of that youthfulness, and I do miss how I used to treat people back then, and how nice I was, and how optimistic I was. And, with adulthood and just the losses and all that stuff, it can jade you a little bit. And my friend has always been like, he's still there. He's just tired and he's just been through a lot. And when I was doing this audition for Tom, I just wasn't getting it because I was being too energetic. I was trying to be more energetic than the actor I was actually recording with in that audition. It was wild. Usually that doesn't happen, but for this one it did. And the director, who is amazing, Alex, Alex, you know, he wasn't mad or anything. He loved what we were doing. It's just he's like Tom is he's a very caring person. He loves his family, he loves his friends, and he levels with them. He does not compete with them. He's very selfless. He listens. He is he sees the good in things even when they're dirty. He's not perfect, but he tries. And there was other stuff that he said, and I'm gonna be honest, Chris, I cried while I
Mm,
was listening to him.
yeah.
I cried during that, and thank God he couldn't see me because I didn't have my camera on, but I was crying and I got very emotional because it kind of related to a lot of the things that my friend and I were talking about up to that point. And I just said to myself, and he's like, with those directions, let me see what you got, basically. And I was like, I'll just I'll just act like myself, how I used to back in high school. And to go deeper, and again, I feel like this is something that a lot of people our age, young men and women, people can relate to is I remember my mom always, I'd be getting down and being like, I don't like myself. I don't like how I stutter all the time. I don't like how I'm big. I don't like how I have a big forehead. I don't like a lot of things about myself. And she's just like, nowadays I feel kind of bad that I said that stuff. But she's like, there's always something special with something that, you think that's dirty, you know. It's there's something special about anything, and there's a lot of special things about you, and you just got to believe in yourself, love yourself, take care of yourself, and and just believe in yourself, you know, and trust the person in that mirror that, they're a good person. And yeah, I did that in that audition. I just was, myself, how I used to be, how I remember. And yeah, I booked it. And I was like, holy shit, it worked. Um, Needless to say, I didn't realize how big Tom was at that time. I didn't know who that cat was. And then I looked him up, and I'm like, Talking Tom. Oh, wait, that's the app from the iPhone. Oh, oh. It was like the reaction went very like, oh.
I mean, I had that on my phone back in the day when it first.
It's wild, man. Of course, they updated it
That's
with the Talking Tom that I voice. They updated it with his look. But yeah, man. Um, I told myself
It's
I wanted to book my first big lead. I know it's probably not going to be anime because again, anime is primarily recorded in studio in Texas, New York, Los Angeles, and sometimes Miami. But Miami can, they get it here and there,
yeah.
but mainly Texas and Los Angeles. And I'm like, who dog? That's a tall order for me. I don't know how I'm going to do that. Let's dial it down to anything.
So, remember I mentioned my great aunt?
Yep.
It was when I was playing basketball at Lamar. Um, I got a call that Santa, my great aunt, who was like my second mother. She
Yep.
raised me. She spent a little more time with me than my own mom because my mom was working, so they would drop
Yeah.
me off at her house in Aurora, Colorado. Um, and then I would go to elementary school at the elementary school there. So at
Yeah.
5 o'clock every morning, my dad would drive me to her house, and then I'd spend basically the day with her till 8. Well, I'd go to school and then spend the day with her. But she was basically like my second mother.
Mm.
And sh I during college at that time, I got a call saying that she just got put on hospice.
Mm.
And she didn't have much time left. And I was playing college basketball at the time and doing college, but I needed to be there. So I ended up taking the 6 hour drive to go be with her.
Hmm.
Um, and no, it was like probably what, like 8 at night when I finally was able to get there. And I spent that couple hours with her, and that is the day that she passed. What ended up happening though was it was like I don't know 4 in the morning or something like that. That she opened her eyes, and I was like right there by her side, and she saw me. She couldn't speak. She was all that, but she took her last breath looking at me, and at first she was in fear. When she opened her eyes, her face was just like very.
Yeah.
It looked like she was witnessing something traumatic. And then she looked at me and she smiled.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then she looked up at something, at heaven, and her last breath was a smile. And it was just all in that one moment, and I was like right there at her side when all of that happened. I mean, it's not the only reason why I'm very spiritual, but she did look up at something, which was kind of crazy because my grandmother, her sister, um, I wasn't there when she passed, but she visited me that night that she passed when I was sleeping in my dreams. And
Yeah.
it's like one of the most vivid dreams that I remember is I was walking down the street right by I like left my house and I was walking down my block
Yeah.
and I heard my name get called out. I looked over and in my neighbor's house, my grandmother was there. And she
Mm.
called me over and she spoke to me in English, which was like I've never heard my grandmother speak to me in English 'cause all she knew was
Whoa.
Spanish.
Whoa.
And she was like, "I love you. And you're gonna do great things." And I got to hug her, and then I woke up, and it was at that time when she actually, it was like right like an hour before she passed away. Um, and she actually visited me in my dreams. Like that's how I know that there is something more than
Something you can't explain.
it in all of these experiences. Yeah, like I
Something
I
you can't explain.
I was also with my grandfather, my grandmother's husband, passed as well. So I've seen death a little, probably too much, but I was always the loving grandson. I was always the one who would be there and go visit them when they were in nursing homes and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they yeah, it does change you being in those moments, but I it also kind of strengthens you.
Yeah, it has. It does. It does strengthen you. It gives you perspective. It makes you think things differently. A lot of things that probably other people, not out of ignorance, but just not experiencing it, you can't blame them for that. It's something that they're probably going to realize or learn whenever they go through it, is there is something more than the petty issues that you're going through right now. And, on another topic, they're, your loved ones, they are watching. At least in my opinion, they are watching. You will see them again. It's just not time. And, you know, for me at least, I want to have a good story to tell her and my dad whenever I see them again. Although, I the stuff that I went through with my dad was pretty rough. It's at the end at least I saw that he wanted to change, so I know I'll see him again and, hopefully have an epic story to tell them, you know. And that's what you have to live for, in my opinion. Um, and they will speak to you sometimes. It's just in ways that you probably never would have thought.
And it's like where the name Forgotten comes from actually comes from the first song I written called Remembered. And
Mm,
it was like the first thing I had written that was philosophical.
yeah.
But that the impact that we have on others is our that's how we live on forever.
Yeah, that's how we be remembered, like you said.
And that's how we change the world.
Hmm.
Our impact on others is the way that we are immortal.
Hmm.
Um, and it's heartbreaking to think about people who dealt with things that they couldn't impact other people's lives. But I mean, like, if you just even look at my background, like Prince has impacted the world so much. I mean, my mom cried for a week when
Yeah.
Prince passed away. Like my sheet right there, my mom was a roadie for Prince, and
Yeah.
so these are all shirts that she she got to work that tour with, and uh, Prince lives on through her child.
Yeah.
When she passes away, I'm gonna remember Prince, and this is gonna be given to my child, and Prince is gonna live on forever, just like Beatles music.
Yeah.
Beatles is right there too, and our acting, our writing, our art
Yep.
in general, which gives me hope for the future because they still live on. People who
Hmm.
preach love and peace and understanding, they're
Yeah.
still living on. Even at the most turbulent times in the world right now and all this stuff, I still can look at these things and be like, they're still living on, and these are the people that changed the world at that time in
And they
their
weren't perfect.
yeah.
They were not perfect. You don't have to be perfect to make a difference.
So my grandmother, my great aunt, and their two other sisters are the reason why I and my dad are in America. Is they were the ones who actually fought against Fidel Castro's regime in Cuba,
Wow.
and so my grandfather was like this wealthy locksmith, and
Yeah.
Castro came in and um basically gave him an ultimatum of You either join the regime, or he basically said, join the regime, and my grandfather said no. And
Yeah.
then he took away his business and put him into sugarcane fields. And then my dad was probably like 4 at that time. Um, because my grandfather was like the one who made all the money for the family, and he had the family all working for him. Um, they all got stuck into a house on the side of a beach next to the sugarcane fields where they're gonna have to work. And I think they said it was like what, like 16 people living in a 2 bedroom house.
Damn.
And
Oh my goodness.
my dad was kind of forced to, or not my dad, my grandfather was forced to work in the sugarcane fields. But what the women did, the sisters, his wife and her sisters, they started collecting and gathering money, and they started doing all they can to get them a flight to America, because the America wet foot dry land policy.
Yeah.
So if you could take a step into America as a Cuban, you would get citizenship. So it was Santa and my grandmother, well, or Isabella actually,
Yeah.
uh, Margot and Rosa. They saved up all their money to get that entire household a plane ride to America, just so they could step land there and then create a future for all of their grandkids and all that stuff. And that's why I'm alive, is
Yeah.
because of the strength of the women who, they weren't doing it for them. They were doing it for their future grandkids that
Yep.
could exist.
To change their world.
Yeah. And and because of them, I get to change the world with what I'm doing. And
Yes.
yes.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's that's fantastic, man. That's beautiful.
All because of one person with so much hate in their heart, Fidel Castro.
Yeah, no.
He,
Ugh.
we remember the villain, but people don't remember the heroes, which
Nope.
is my great aunt and my
Yeah,
grandmother.
absolutely.
Well,
Thank you for telling that, man. Thank you.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I am so honored and appreciated that you were so open with me, man. I don't know if you saw, but um, I was crying telling you hearing your story, but I'm so grateful that you trusted me with your story. And
Hey,
um
man. Thank you for letting me talk.
yeah. So let everyone know what's coming up next for you.
For me, well, for me, I get all my business kind of like all wrapped up. It's all over the place. Haven't booked a lot of cons. I got burnt out of them a little bit by the last con that we did. But we're doing a con. My friends and I were doing a con. I hope I don't botch the name. Ashika Con. In near Portland. It's in Lincoln City, on the West Coast. We're doing that. I might be doing some more, especially with Talking Tom and all that. I know that there's a crowd for that, and
Mm.
probably for the younger audience. I just don't know where to go for that. And I don't want to go to a I don't want to go to anime cons, and it's right place, right time. Different place. It's you have to mismatch. It's a mismatch a little bit, but try to find the avenue for that if I even want to do cons, because they can be stressful, and I don't want to give anybody like a bad, time because I can't really match their energy, or I'm just not used to it. I don't want to be selfish or anything like that. But yeah, I just got a lot of work going on. I work a lot in like indie video games, indie animation projects. Got some other big stuff in the works, but um, yeah, A lot of the stuff I can't talk about because of NDA, so that stinks. Contracts, they can stink sometimes, but that's just, yeah, that's the name of the game, man. Got some stuff cooking, but if anybody wants to catch me or follow me, support, it's at Josh Portillo VO on Instagram. On Twitter, I'll spell it out at Josh, lowercase, underscore SAITOGAMI. You'll find me there as well. I usually do most of my marketing now on Instagram, so there's that. But yeah, man, I appreciate you laying me on.
Yeah, and all of his links will be below. And if you want to reach out to you, you use your website, right?
You can
There's
even
like a
use my
chat.
website or DM me on Instagram. I don't know. I
Okay.
don't care. It's all
All right.
good.
All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Appreciate you for being on, man.
Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
This was epic, an epic episode. So yeah, thank y'all for joining, being vulnerable. Thank my special guest. And yeah, I'm Carpal Tunnel, and that's Josh Portillo. And we will see you next time on Being Vulnerable. And as always, peace, love, and understanding to others and yourself.
Peace.